Our viewers are welcome to NSTV. We thank you so much for your viewership. Recently, religious leaders had a consultation meeting bill about the policy, the faith and religious-based policy. And they are saying the policy has some gaps. I'm here with one of the people who sit on the cabinet to respond to some of the issues that was raised in the policy. And we have Honorable Chris Bariomunsi, who is the Vice Chairperson, NRM Western Region, and also the Minister for ICT and National Guidance. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here, and thank you for this arrangement to have me interviewed.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Over time, in Uganda we have freedom of worship. In Article 29, everyone has freedom of worship in whichever way they feel like, be it Muslim, be it born again, be it what. However, recently there are mishappenings in the community. For example, some pastors are alleged to do dubious acts in the community. So we heard that a government wants to come in and regulate faith because of some acts that go on in the country. So according to the policy that was drafted, the proposed policy in 2023 from the Integrity and Ethics Department, they say they want to come in and regulate the faith. However, the religious leaders, some of them come up to advocate against it. One of the reasons they say that the policy says some pastors, some religious leaders did not go to school. That's why government wants to come in. And others say there are already existing laws that are already in the country that can govern the people, for example, the criminals. Why would you want to bring up another new policy as from the government?
First of all, as a cabinet, we have not yet discussed any policy proposals in that direction. I have not also spoken to the minister responsible for ethics and integrity to ascertain whether they are carrying out any consultations. But be as it may, there is no problem coming up with a policy, because the reason why governments exist is that they have to regulate whatever affairs are happening in the country. So the existence of a policy or a law governing faith and religious-based institutions doesn't mean that you cannot review that policy or that law, especially if there are new happenings in society, like evolution of these different faith groups, and if there are any changes in society, it is always okay to review the policy and improve it and accommodate whatever new things are happening. Like you have said, Uganda is a secular country. Uganda believes in freedom of worship. And that's why all these faith and religious institutions flourish and exist in Uganda without any interference, without any disturbance from government. However, we also note that there are times when we see situations that border on abuse of the law and the abuse of societal norms. If I can take an example of where I come from in Kanungu, about 24 years ago, about 1,000 people were banned in the name of faith. You recall the restoration of 10 Commandments movement that was headed by Kibwetere and his team, that had a group appearing as a religion, as a faith group. They misled the Ugandans. Actually, even the Rwandese and Congolese were part of that. And they perished in a fire which was organized by the leadership of that faith. So the question would be, should government close its eyes to such a groups, because they also come in the name of faith and religion. Recently I saw in the media a cult, because these cults come in the name of faith, in Teso, eastern Uganda, where local people were being mobilized under faith to walk to Ethiopia. I don't know what the reason was, what to meet Jesus there or to get wealth. So there are also those groupings. So maybe those happenings justify why there may be need for a policy framework to guide us in areas of faith. But those kind of policy documents or policy frameworks do not target particular beliefs, do not target particular faith-based organizations, do not target the Pentecostals, do not target the established religions, but just they provide a broad framework upon which we can construct our faith. And personally, I see nothing wrong with that one. And what is important is that if there are any policy proposals, provided you subject them to consultation, so that Ugandans of all walks of life can give their views, but at the end of the day, if we are to pass a policy, it's a policy which accommodates the interests of all Ugandans. Yes.
Thank you so much. Minister, within the policy, there is something that they wrote about managing finance in the churches and mosques in form of taxation. What do you have to say about it? And for them, they say people are already paying taxes within their homes at the place of work that they stay. Why would you want to come in and regulate churches and mosques in form of taxation?
Well, like I said, I haven't seen the policy document that is being consulted on, so I'm just giving my views. I think when you examine what's happening in society, it is also true there are people who are turning faith into a business. That is the reality that we live with today. Whether you cover your head in the sand or not, somebody wakes up and starts the church. And many followers, many believers have been fleeced of their money. Somebody starts a church, the intention is just to collect money from the people. At times, even when he gets what he wants, he just closes the church. I have seen on social media, you know, social media now brings very many things that happen in society. Somebody selling a church, said that my church is on sale. I started the church, now I'm selling it to somebody, I want this amount. All those things are happening. And these are the things which could be informing the thoughts about broadening the policy to ensure that we streamline even when we have freedom of worship. But let's not abuse that freedom. Let's not abuse that freedom. For instance, is it correct to start a church merely for purposes of collecting money from believers? Because also those tendencies are there. And those definitely a responsible government cannot allow the population to just be fleeced, to be cheated, simply because we are promoting freedom of worship. So there must be limits. There must be limits. So if there are proposals on taxation, I'm sure they are targeting such categories, but these are mere proposals. If they are there, then they will be subjected to the views of Ugandans, including our leaders of those kind of churches, to get their views. Because at the end of the day, it is what Ugandans say and want, not me as an individual. And the consultations have taken place across Ugandans. Eventually, if it's, for instance, like a law, it comes to Parliament, and every community in Uganda is represented. So it is the voice, the majority voice of Ugandans that carries the day, not what you maybe as a particular religious leader wishes to happen. Because you are not operating in a vacuum, you are not in an island, you are operating in the bigger environment of Uganda. So, but nobody should be worried. A policy or a law cannot be brought to target a particular religion, to target a particular individual, but it's just to address societal happenings. Look at the broader picture in the society. So if also you know it's going to negatively affect you, then that means there could be something irregular with what you do. So you must also shape up and ensure that whatever you are doing must conform to the interests and values of Ugandans, which are clearly stated in our constitution.
Okay, Minister, just one more question. People pay tithe and zakah on their own. People go to churches, to those worship places on their own, willingly. Some and most of them, because church is a healing place. And pastors say, or religious leaders say, they are doing this service for free. Why would government come in to regulate it?
It is also true there are those who claim you should pay money, they pray for you, you get cured of AIDS, you get cured of diabetes, you get cured of cancer, you get cured of high blood pressure, whereas we know there are those diseases you cannot cure. So the question again comes, if somebody, for instance, started a religion that claims that can cure AIDS, it can cure cancer, and now you start asking money from your followers to give you money to buy that cure, when actually that cure is not there, should the government keep quiet? I would also pose that question back, because those things we see them. So does the government have a duty to protect that unsuspecting Ugandan who may be believing in you when actually what you are telling him or her is a lie? For instance, we don't have a cure for HIV and AIDS. We don't have a cure for these chronic diseases. This is what we call non-communicable diseases. Most of them are incurable. And we are scientists. So why would we allow you to deceive people and use religion as a means of livelihood, and you are just fleecing your flock who are very poor, but the little that they have, they are giving it to you? So that also justifies why there must be regulation, so that people do not abuse religion and turn religion into a business, into a means of livelihood. You start sucking the blood of poor people to enrich yourself. A responsible government will be watching and will come out to protect those people, because that's why we exist as government. So all of these things have to be discussed so that we promote freedom of worship, but also we fight abuse. We don't allow anybody to use the faith, to use religion, to abuse our people.
Okay, just one more last question. As cabinet, what are you intending to do about this policy? For example, do you intend to look at it and have a way forward for these religious leaders?
Well, you see, the way we work is that the government is structured along ministries, agencies, and departments. And those agencies and the departments and ministries have one of their functions being legislation. They can initiate a policy, they can initiate a law, because they supervise that area of their mandate. Like in this case, if you are saying the Department of Ethics and Integrity is looking at the regulating religion and faith and religious practices, that's okay, it's within their mandate. Once they are satisfied with their consultations and they have a document present, then they will bring it to cabinet. Then we shall examine it and discuss it. So, whatever a ministry, but there are procedures which they have to go through, and they satisfy particular steps before such a document can come to cabinet. So it is heresy if there is a consultation. The challenge will only be if they draft a policy and don't get the views of the people, especially those who are affected by that kind of policy, wouldn't entertain that kind of document. But if there is the proof that they have accommodated the views and listened to all the stakeholders, then it's a matter we shall look at and consider it.
Thank you so much, Minister, for giving me this time. True that we have freedom of worship as it is stated in Article 29, freedom of worship, expression, freedom of speech in Uganda as it being a secular country. However, with the on-rising criminality, I don't think we should take advantage of us, the country being a secular country, to do dubious acts. For example, defilement cases, those who distort a lot of money from the public, from the followers. It is really inhuman, and it is really uncalled for. So if government comes in to regulate some acts which are inculpable in the country, I think it is a way to go. However, if at all it's not infringing on people's rights and freedom of worship, it is also okay. I remain Naguja Serena for any